So can you start out by telling us a little bit about your personal story, how you got involved with street soccer and ended up here?
Yeah, so, I was raised in Rhinebeck, New York, in upstate New York, about 2 hours from New York City. And it's a pretty privileged place, not a lot of crime, not a lot of poverty. And so I hadn't really been in contact with homeless people or refugees in my life. And I heard about street soccer when I was in high school about a decade ago. And I drove the 2 hours down with my dad. I couldn't even drive. And we went to a men's practice at a homeless shelter on Randall's Island. And I just saw how much fun these guys were having. And it was like, wow, all it is a game of soccer, but these guys are having so much fun. And, are they really that different from me? Not so much. These are all just normal people. And so that hooked me from the start. And so I've been involved in different capacities around the country with street soccer in the past decade. And then when I returned to New York 2 years ago, I started full-time as the adult program manager in New York City, and then more recently also as the director of the Homeless World Cup program.
Do you think that soccer, football's got a unique capability of bringing different people together like that?
Yeah, we talk about the power of sport, right? And I think it's less about the sport and more about the community surrounding that sport. And that's really what we're focused on in street soccer is, we talk about what do we play for? We play for family, right? So we're creating a positive, safe community of people, which oftentimes is so lost in the homeless system and the refugee system and in drug rehab facilities.
What do you think what do you think your players are gaining from being here?
Yeah, their confidence is through the roof right now. We use this as a reward for our players who are achieving their goals off the field. And so these are players who we're hoping are going to be inspired from this experience and go home and continue to do the great things that they're doing.
How do you cope with, is there some sort of danger that the players are in such a high right now here in Mexico City, they feel like they're in the fucking Champions League, they go home and, do you have things in place to help them cope with that?
Yeah, so this is a common concern that we have and that people in general have with this event is that such an incredible experience, such a high, such an adrenaline rush, and then you go back and, you might be struggling to pay the rent, you might be working a job you don't like, you might be struggling in school, right? And so we have these local support systems all across the country where they've developed these deep relationships with a coach or a manager in their local city. So they're not just going back and it's, you're on your own, good luck, They're still checking in with their street soccer community 1, 2, 3 times a week, working on their goal setting with their coaches, their managers. So it's not like they just experience this event and then they're on their own. We continue these deeply rooted friendships and relationships with them.
Shifting gears a slight bit, I think it's safe to say immigration has maybe been the most loaded topic in American public discourse in the last 2 years. Your team is mostly first-generation immigrants. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, the greatest part about America is our diversity. And the diversity of this team that we have here is completely unparalleled. We're the only team here that doesn't really look alike, that might speak many different languages. We have 10 nations represented between our 14 players, African nations, Asian nations. We have Nepal, we have Sudan in Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Kenya, all over the world. We have players who have come to the U.S. seeking a better life. These players have been through things worse than we can imagine, right? And so the common thing that bonds us, the United States in soccer, and that's what we're here representing.
Do you feel that there's a sense of pride of wearing the American jersey in the team?
Even as a coach, I'm immensely proud to be here with this team of such diverse individuals, and it's extremely an honor.
Can I ask you, a bit more particular here, kind of a particular moment that made you proud in the tournament, if you can get kind of specific, especially if you can with Mustafa, not the goalie, the field player?
Mustafa's come a long way. He's a very aggressive player, right? You see it on the pitch. He can get very intense, sometimes talk back to players, talk back to refs, right? And the first couple of days, I think we saw that. He was committing a lot of fouls, he was arguing, he was getting in the other team's faces. And just this last match, we saw him commit a foul right off the bench. But he helped the guy up. He argued with the ref a little bit, but he helped the guy up. And it's those moments where just slight changes you can see. We only have these players for 6 or 7 days, so any little small improvements we can see in their sportsmanship, in their communication skills, in their relationship building, in their showing up on time, their punctuality. These are little changes that are going to go a long way to helping them in their lives.
So now if you can look directly at the camera, if you have like a moment that's kind of more like a specific moment, but maybe like a whole team kind of event that made you really proud as a coach.
The most fun that I have here at the tournament is off the field. The games are fun and everything, but just to be bonding with these players. So we have so much fun. We're just constantly laughing. So at lunch yesterday, the waitress asked us to take a picture with her, right? We've been getting asked to take a lot of pictures with different people, and so the boys said sure. And usually when you get asked to take a picture, you put your arms around them, you smile, you take a picture. Our guys all just bear hugged this waitress, and we're just hugging her so tight, and they're all laughing and smiling. And it's just moments like that are just, it's such a fun group where they can just escape the stresses, and that's one that really stood out for me.
And last question that I have is there anything, a message you'd like to send out in general to the Impact and why we're here, but also the people that have helped you get to where you are here, and your team and your other coaches, as well as local coaching and players that are home?
We have so much support here. It's been incredible. Since the Homeless World Cups in Mexico City, so close to us in the U.S., we have 25 or 35 supporters here from all over the country, a lot of them being coaches of our players. So I really want to thank all of our coaches from around the country, our volunteers who came down. They're filling up water bottles, they're helping with laundry, they're holding our players' bags during the tournament, they're leading team building games. And not only during this tournament, but the preparation that went into this was immense. We've been planning this for months. Rob and Lawrence Can, the leaders of street soccer, giving me the resources I need to get things organized, booking flights, travel insurance, making sure the uniforms are printed. Pete Fink from Charlotte's done a great job getting the jerseys done. It's just, we have such an immense support system that we're so thankful to have.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
How's your time? You got time for one more?
Yeah, I got 10 minutes.
All right. I think one more cool thing to get on the record. Can you tell us the story that you had one player that had some immigration problems, and there was an immense effort to get him here? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so you always expect the unexpected with street soccer, right? And so my alarm was set for 7 a.m. to catch a flight here from JFK in New York. And I wake up at 5:15 to 6 calls from one of my players from St. Louis. His name's Chung. He's a refugee, super shy, quiet kid, saying that American Airlines wouldn't let him out of the country. And we had spent weeks and weeks with the congresswomen in St. Louis and local officials there getting him an expedited refugee travel document because he doesn't have a green card yet, but this functions as a passport. And so we knew he was good to clear, but he didn't feel confident enough to talk to the people he needed. And so I'm calling his program manager, who's in New York at the time, who's asleep. So then I'm on the phone with American Airlines. He ends up missing his flight. The American Airlines wouldn't let me speak with the immigration people, so then I'm trying to get the immigration people on the phone, and this is 2, 3, 4 hour ordeal while I'm in a cab on the way to catch my flight. And then we finally get a hold of the St. Louis program manager, and then he makes about 45 phone calls to different people in St. Louis. He sends a couple lobbyists. He gets in touch with the congresswoman and an immigration lawyer. And they go meet Chung at the airport, and the customs people hadn't followed the proper protocol to check his documents. So finally, with that pressure and that support system that is so important in street soccer, they made it happen. He got his documents. 9 hours later, he was on a flight. that connected in Dallas Fort Worth, which he had a long layover. Then he made it to Mexico City, where he was detained because of his documents, which they're a rare document. And so 45 minutes after that, he was cleared to go, and we got him to the hotel at 4 a.m. the next day. So 24 hours later, he made it. But a testament to that kid, his attitude's been fantastic. We haven't heard one complaint from him from the minute he's been here. He's been a positive influence.
Team and family.
That's right, yeah. Every time we break down the huddle, we say 1, 2, 3 family. And these kids have already become tight-knit like brothers.
Thank you so much for your time, man. Really,
Thank you
really
guys.
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
coming down.
You got the names of the congresswoman and the